we live our lives will determine not only how meaningful our lives are, but also our eternal destiny. There are two primary things that are key in knowing how to live this life we are given, as well as where we send ourselves when we die. And those two things are truth and love. Hi, my name is Tim, and I will be helping you consider what your life is really about, and if you can see a need for significant change. In prior videos, we learned some important things like the fact that religious people, in this case Christians, create many fake Jesuses to bless how they want to live, instead of listening to the real historical Joshua of Nazareth and living the way he says we ought to live. In this video, we're going to look at a few of the core or critical teachings of the real historical Joshua of Nazareth, teachings that provide the foundation for why his followers will be living our lives his way. Those core teachings of Joshua are truth, the world, and love. Regarding truth, Joshua said this, quote, "I am the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to the Father except through me." Furthermore, he said this of truth, "If you continue in my words, not Paul's or anyone else's, then you are my disciple, and then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Let's consider those two key or core teachings of Joshua for a moment. When Joshua says, "I am the truth," he is saying that he is the Creator's messenger to humankind, not Bible authors or anyone else, and that the truth that he spoke when he visited the earth some 2,000 years ago, which words, truths were captured and preserved in those 4 gospel books, are the truth that all human beings both need and are accountable to. What more could he say than, "I am the truth"? If there was a more significant claim in human history, I'm open to evaluating it. Furthermore, he didn't just claim that he is the truth to humankind, he backed up his claim by performing miracles, not the least of which was defeating death, to prove that what he said is true. Truth is that which is real and not imaginary. That which is true is that which conforms to reality. We can determine what is true either by observation in the physical realm or by using the metaphysical tools of reason and logic well. If you want to know the why answers to life's most important questions, then the one who says, "I am the truth," has the answers. Okay, let's look at the other key claim he made and then tie the two together. He said that his words, teachings, truths alone, no one else's, would inform a person of life's greatest truths, and that by receiving those truths, a person would be set free. So simply put, he said that his person, is the truth that humanity needs, and that by listening to and receiving his words, teachings, truths, as recorded in the 4 gospel books, a person will be set free. We saw in prior videos what we need to be set free from: fear, self-pride, and selfishness. So the tie between his two sayings is quite clear. He said he is the truth that people need, and that if we receive the truths that he spoke, we will be set free as it is possible for a human being to be. So let us take a look at some of the key truths of the Son of Man, the model to humankind, so that we might better understand the reality in which we exist. Please consider this saying of the light as he was talking to his Father for the disciples' benefit. Quote, "I have given them, my disciples, your word, and the world has hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world." So what does Joshua mean when he speaks of the world? Here is another of his sayings regarding the world for clarification. "If you were of the world would love you as its own, but because you are not of the world, because I chose you out of the world, for this the world hates you." So clearly the context proves he is not talking about the earth, because the earth cannot hate. And obviously we disciples are still here on the surface of the earth, so he did not mean he physically removes us from the earth. The world is the people of the earth who reject, ignore, or dismiss Joshua and his way, for those who have heard of him and have access to his words in the 4 Gospels. For those who have not heard of him, those who ignore their conscience and thus do not practice compassion, that is, love and forgiveness towards others. In case you are wondering, the world is the vast majority of human beings on the earth, including the vast majority of Christians and other religious people. Remember, the light says, quote, "Broad is the road which leads to destruction, and many enter through it, and difficult is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." How can we objectively know that we have left the world? What are the signs or manifestations of listening to Joshua and leaving the world? Well, it will all come back to this thing he called love. Who and what we love, and who and what we don't love. And the love he speaks about will absolutely have manifestations in both our words and how we choose to live this life. There is no more important concept or thing than love. Joshua spoke about the topic over 60 times in the 4 gospel books, and he clearly prioritized it at the top. So, let's define love clearly so we can understand this most important topic. Here are some key teachings of Joshua that reveal what love is. Quote, "For God so loved the world, the people of the earth, that he sent his only begotten Son, that whoever puts their faith in him will not perish, but will have eternal life." Quote, "There is no greater love than this, that we lay down our life, including dying, for our friends." So, the highest form of love, the love that God wants human beings to live out, is selfless behavior motivated by compassion. Said in another way, God so valued the people of the earth that he gave his beloved Son, who gave himself up as a ransom to save us from ourselves, even knowing what we would do to him. So, to sum up, the highest form of love gives up everything for the object of that love, since the object of that love is valued even above one's own life. Joshua says, quote, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." So, in other words, if you value me above all else, then you will do as I say, since I know the way. Here comes the Christians saying with their lips, "We love Jesus Christ," and yet they don't even know what he teaches. How can you express your love for him when you don't even value him enough to learn his teachings? So, dear viewer, we all, each of us, value someone or something higher than anyone or anything else. Most people value love themselves, wealth, material security, their life in this world, above all else. It is really quite easy to know what a person loves or values more than anything else, for the mouth speaks out of that which fills the heart. He said another thing which sheds light on this topic, quote, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So, put quite simply, what we love and value we will pursue with our daily efforts and work, and what we love and value will come out of our mouth. Please, think about it. So let us spend a bit of time revealing the self-deception and delusions of religious people in regard to what we truly love. The first manifestation of actually loving our Father and Joshua is wanting to talk about them. So how often do you talk about the ones who you claim to love so much? I mean, if we actually value Joshua and our Father highly, then surely we will talk about what they have done for us as well as how they want us to live, right? Reality check. Going to a religious service and being led to sing worship songs and listening to speeches about God are not talking about what we love most, is it? Talking about God stuff a few minutes a week when we are prompted by the circumstances, typically in a religious setting or with other religious people, is not talking about what we love most, is it? I ask that you try real hard to be honest with yourself and admit the following. You talk about yourself, you're working for money, the things that money buys, your favorite hobby or entertainment, the people you choose to care about. You do not talk about the one who you pretend to love, do you? If you are a religious person, in addition to talking about the things previously mentioned, you will talk about church gossip, your favorite theological topics, Paul's teachings, how the church can improve the way it does business or grow, the end times, how the culture is becoming increasingly immoral, and how the Spirit is moving, etc. What you won't talk about is Joshua and his unpopular teachings. Due to fear, you especially will not talk about the following teachings of the light of the world and what those teachings mean for your life. Quote, unless you forsake all you consider valuable in this world, you cannot be my disciple. Quote, you cannot serve God and wealth, and, quote, do not work for the food which perishes. How these words of his, quote, blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and say all kinds of evil things against you because of me, unquote, came to pass for you this past week because you spoke his truths to someone. Please, dear viewer, try and be totally honest with yourself and admit you do not talk about Joshua and his teachings, except perhaps the teachings that you like, because in those teachings he does not ask anything of you. Please don't lie to yourself. So, Joshua is plainly teaching that his followers will turn away from valuing what the world values, usually money or wealth, and we will cease working for wealth and the things of this world that people value love. A teaching that is repeated by Joshua 6 times in the Gospels perhaps best sums up this whole topic of what we choose to love. Quote, whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. So, dear viewer, you really need to ask yourself, in what way have I lost my life for Joshua? What important things of the world have I walked away from? If you are honest with yourself, you should confess, well, my life has not changed in any significant way due to Joshua, and I certainly cannot see how I have lost my life for him. Most Christians will answer, what do you mean, lose my life? Because the concept is totally foreign to them. And it is totally foreign to them because it is a key teaching of the real historical Joshua of Nazareth. Well, to lose one's life means to give up pursuing what the world considers valuable. Stop loving wealth. Stop being selfish. Start actually loving. And to follow Joshua, which means to live his way and to speak his truths to a world which murdered him for speaking truth. Like I said earlier in the video, it all comes down to what I choose to love value and what I choose not to love value. That is a great transition into the final topic in this video, love. Let's take a closer look at the only instruction that Joshua gave that he labeled a command, and it is this. A new command I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. For this is how the people of the world will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. So, there you have it. The only teaching of Joshua he called a command, and it has to do with his most important teaching, love. The new command is given to his disciples, and he plainly teaches that the primary way that the people of the world will know that a person is a follower of the light of the world is if we are practicing love with other disciples. What do I mean by practicing love? Well, I mean practicing love. That means that disciples behave selflessly towards one another. It means we highly value one another. It means we will lay down our lives for each other, just like Joshua says. It means we will live his life together. At some level, Christians know they are not living any differently than the people they see need to be saved. They know where Joshua's teachings lead, so when they hear what I just said, they defend their materialistic, loveless lives by attacking Joshua's way of love. They do this by attacking Joshua's definition of love as well as the disciple from their cage of fear and self-pride. Oh, what are you saying, that we need to join a cult or live like hippies in a commune or something? Do we need to live on the street or lay all our money at your feet? To which I might respond, no, I certainly do not want your money, and you are free to attack Joshua's love to defend your selfish, materialistic, and largely loveless life. But that does not change the fact that Joshua's love will bring his followers together to live out his teachings together. A typical delusional response to Joshua's definition of love is, well, I love everybody. That is an empty, merely sentimental, and defensive statement born from self-pride. If you are not living with other disciples and sharing what you have with them, then you are not living out his new command nor his love. Let's sum up what we have learned in this video. The two most important aspects to human life are truth and love. The real historical Joshua of Nazareth says, I am the truth, not Paul or anyone else. in the God, spiritual, and human ethics domains. All reason and logic, the tools that enable us to know truth regarding human existence and ethics, need to be grounded on the person and teachings of Joshua of Nazareth. The world is the people who value the things of this world and who have access to Joshua's teachings, and yet who ignore and reject him and his teachings, including the religious people in their clever ways to reject him by listening to other voices other than Joshua's and making up a Jesus to serve them and their love for this world. The love Joshua defines is selfless behavior motivated by compassion. His disciples will model this love to the world by practicing this love, which will bring them together as best friends, sharing this life and all that we have together. This coming together and being together will be especially cherished since we are hated and rejected by the world for speaking Joshua's truths. Until next time, may you ask, seek, and knock. Question important things like why you are living the life you are given and what you are truly living for. And may you be inspired to hear His voice, receive His truth, forsake all the world considers valuable, find His freedom and love, and come, join the peaceful revolution.